Hey everybody, welcome
As always.
to do another musical roundup episode. This is using our musical expert.
Yeah.
We want to give these
How dare you?
composers the attention and the love that they deserve, even if it's for a game we didn't love.
Wow.
Chris is here to talk about 3 games from Home on the RNG past. He is going to talk about Arcana, Final Fantasy Mystic Quest, and Mother 1.
Hooray.
Very good lineup there of music.
I don't even remember the music from Arcana
Yeah.
at all. But Mystic Quest soundtrack and Mother soundtrack, A+.
yeah.
Yeah, I handpicked these ones from the list of pre-Chris episodes. And so, I was mostly like, I just want to pick ones that I can just speak to, like, completely off the cuff without looking up anything or listening to anything. And that's definitely these 3 games.
That's what I do every episode.
It's true. But y'all actually, like, play the games.
Russ
that
is
you
saying the
do.
quiet part out loud.
I would not. I will tell you this, sir. I don't think I would be doing this with you if I had not spent my whole life just already playing all of these games.
Yeah, the research is
Because I...
decades.
The research is just everything since I was 6.
Have you heard people who only just got into RPGs try to talk about them in depth?
Oh, yeah. Mhm.
It's
I know.
yeah, we are experts kind of. we put in the 50,000
We did,
hours.
yeah.
I didn't start out as an expert when we began this project, but I do feel like I am one
Yeah,
now.
you wanted to play all of these, and I already had, and that's why this worked so beautifully.
Yes.
At the very least, you're cultivating like a spot in your brain where
Yeah.
this stuff can be looked at with like a bit of a nuance and context, wider context. And that's kind of how I am about music. I don't really I don't do the hard research either. But these are 3 games that are very, very, very near and dear to my heart. Starting with Arcana, I suppose, or Arcana. I say Arcana. Maybe I'm wrong. It is called Arcana the Card Master in Japan.
Russ will let you call it whatever you want. He only corrects me.
That is correct. You're actually right about that one.
So there's a real easy shortcut to picturing the music or recalling or even just talking about the music in Arcana. Because the game was made by HAL Laboratories, the makers of such games as, well, Earthbound, but also Kirby. This game actually featured a lot of Kirby personnel, including the composer, Jun Ishikawa. He is the main guy behind the Kirby music, and in fact, if you set this game next to like Kirby Superstar, you would be like, oh, okay, this is like the same thing almost. So,
Gameplay-wise, it's almost identical.
almost identical, yeah. I mean, Superstar does have one RPG section in it. It's like a goof boss battle that I
And
really
you only
love.
have one party member in Kirby, too.
Yeah, there you go. So yeah, whether you feel like Arcana is a worthwhile game or just like a weird ass like game where everything's cards, including your characters who also use cards, which is odd, or if you're just like baby's first wizardry, I mean that's kind of how I consider it. The music is actually, I think, really good. A lot of it is a little more on the subtle side. I think that unless you get into a town where it's like, it has that, has the little, like, the flute that just kind of comes in out of nowhere and just pierces the heavens.
Yep, I remember the flute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because at first you're just like, doot, 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 and you're like, oh, okay, this is nice, and then that whistle, da, 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 da,
Yeah.
comes in, and you're like, yeah.
Chris sings JRPGs.
I know. I almost, I guess because this episode is me-centric, maybe I'm sort of breaking my I never sing music from the games rule. Like I said, a lot of the songs, especially in story sequences and stuff like that, they're kind of subtle and a little bit more nuanced. I think that it's mostly in the battle music, which, again, sounds like one of the more intense parts of a Kirby game. And it's interesting that it's kind of unique to this game because Jun Ishikawa also did the soundtrack to a game called Alcahest, which never saw a U.S. release, not even a surprise one on the Switch, which is what we're seeing a lot of nowadays. But he did the soundtrack to that game, and it doesn't sound like Kirby at all, in my opinion. But yeah, this one, Also, Arcana does feature a Kirby cameo, if y'all didn't know.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
So, you know that they had cream puff on the brain when they were.
Although I think it came out before Kirby existed.
It did.
So
well
like it's a Kirby.
remembered.
It's an upcoming. It's a cameo of a thing that doesn't exist yet, which is kind of fun.
Which is how they did Sonic the Hedgehog too. He was in a racing game as a dice hanging from the rear view in an arcade racing game before Sonic the Hedgehog came out.
And I believe Sam and Max from Sam and Max Hit the Road showed up in Monkey Island 1 before they got their own game.
Yeah. So I've got a few examples of that, but yeah, I do love that this one has surprise Kirby that you didn't know until after you played a Kirby game. But yeah, like I said, this one is a little bit more subtle. The regular battle music and boss battle music are two like just favorites of mine. Like I get them stuck in my head all the time, and I just love them. But I actually think that one of the standout tracks of this is actually this song. It's the theme of Darwin, and it plays in the forest when you get halfway through it and you meet Darwin for the first time, and then the stage music actually changes to be this theme for the rest of the dungeon until you get to like the mountains nearby. But it's just this cool, like, I don't know, it just has this, like, nice organ riff to it that kind of sounds like The Doors, but if they were good. And it also has a piercing whistle sound, or fluty sound, but it actually fits way better in the track. And I don't know, it's just, like, it's one of those grooving tracks that I just really always dug. And even though I went a few years without playing this game, I did forget most of the soundtrack at some point. I never forgot that theme of Darwin. So yeah, like I said, I totally understand if people who like or hate the game, don't really remember the soundtrack. It's fine. It's, like I said, mostly subtle, mostly in the background, like where music should be. But yeah, I think that it does have a couple of shining moments that are pretty darn good. So that's my opinion on Arcana.
Cool.
Yay.
Now let's talk about a game I'm happy to talk about.
Which one?
Honestly, either.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll talk about Mystic Quest.
Mystic Quest has an amazing soundtrack. It is Baby's first JRPG, but the soundtrack is heavy metal, which is a weird choice to go for.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So that is... I actually talked about this in I want to say the Super Mario RPG review or something like that, where we talked about Chihiro Fujioka a little bit. So Chihiro Fujioka was one of the people who, I think he directed or wrote like Final Fantasy Legend 3, one of the first games to come out of Square's Osaka studio that they had just opened. So basically the story goes that, they needed to make another Final Fantasy to release in the United States because they didn't want to bring Final Fantasy V over here.
How dare they?
I know. It's honestly though, that's the popular story. I actually think that Final Fantasy V wasn't even out at the time when they made this, so it's more like they just wanted something to put in America so that they could like kind of get into RPGs a little bit more, because RPGs in the US prior to Final Fantasy VII were not big business at all. Sadly, which is why we didn't get things like Alcahest. Mm-hmm. Although we did get things like Arcana, so who knows? Maybe they sent it over here because Wizardry came from here, so they were like...
That's a good theory.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But anyways, so long story short, too late, Chihiro Fujioka became the writer of this new Final Fantasy game that was going to come out on the Super Nintendo. And he was like, you know what? I am going to bring my friend Ryuji Sasai from Final Fantasy Legend 3 to be the composer, but I'm not going to write any of the music either. So they got another guy called Yasuhiro Kawakami to come in. And so they both, with Ryuji in the lead, made the soundtrack. Now, there's a definite split when you are listening to music from Final Fantasy Mystic Quest between what's Ryuji Sasai and what's Kawakami. Ryuji was the metal guy, so the battle themes... most of the dungeon themes. I believe the ice dungeon theme was not. I think that was Kawakami. Those were Sasai, and holy jeez, I mean, this is like one of the earliest and best examples of like really putting a driving rock-centric guitar, distorted guitars, bass, drum, heavy drums, like into a Super Nintendo game. Because we saw flashes of that in some other games and such, but yeah, this one really pulled out the stops considering how early it was.
The only other thing I can even think that comes close to this soundtrack is the soundtrack for the end boss in Final Fantasy. Well, not the end boss, but Jecht in Final Fantasy X.
Oh yeah, the death metal one.
The death metal one. Like,
yeah.
That and this game, and like that's it that I can think of for like just in your face heavy metal.
I don't remember which of the Final Fantasy 13s there was, but one of them had the death metal chocobo theme.
Yes. I loved that. I played the heck out of that on the Theater Rhythm.
Yeah.
Speaking of, I got Theater Rhythm, even though I'm not most largely into music. Final Fantasy music's its own thing.
Yeah, it's a different thing.
But of course, you got to get the Mystic Quest DLC.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm really glad
so you can play as the hero Benjamin.
Well, the hero that you name, who somehow has, even though you can't choose his default name, we know his name is Benjamin. Yeah, it's really interesting how we all know that, but it was never really discussed. I think there's a screenshot where his name's Benjamin or something, right?
Yeah,
maybe it was
wasn't
in
like a Nintendo
maybe it was in the
Power
manual
or something. Yeah,
it was something. But I tried pushing start on the default, to get the default name, and there's not one. So, anyway, yeah, of course, everybody knows Battle 1, Battle 2, Battle 3. Your regular battle against regular enemies, which just busts in with that electric guitar, literally kicks in the door in a figurative way.
Literally, figuratively kicks in the door.
Yeah.
It's fun talking to a literary person and misusing words like that. And then like the boss theme kicks it up even harder. So fun fact, I was in a video game rock band. I mean, I still am, but this is a different video game rock band. And one of the very first things we did was cover 2 of the songs from Final Fantasy Mystic Quest, and those were the 2 songs we learned. The bass line on that boss battle music, I defy any bassist to like learn that in like less than 2 months. It's wild.
Didn't you... I might be mixing this story up, but didn't you talk to a Japanese composer and tell him you were playing this bass line, and they went, "That's not possible"?
That was Hiroki Kikuta with Secret of Mana.
Okay.
Which I never did learn. That's still on the docket for me. So one day learn it. Thing is, he picked bass notes that aren't on the bass guitar, so
that does make it a problem.
One has to like make some compromises there, or if you're not going to compromise, you need to use some effects. But no, this actually, funny enough, that's a good segue because Ryuji Sasai himself is a bass player. That's how he kind of came up in music as a bassist for a couple of different bands, and so yeah, as a bass person. It is a well-represented instrument in this soundtrack. And then, like I said, you also have Yasuhiro Kawakami, who I think is, if we're going to talk about any underrated composer, holy crap, the guy who wrote the calm music in Final Fantasy Mystic Quest. He wrote the town themes. He wrote the kind of slower, like more pensive themes that you sometimes come across, like when you come into a shrine and it has that almost sounds like wedding music.
Yes. Yeah.
That's Kawakami's contribution to this game, and the fact that you can't even, that the fact that his name is not even a link on the Wikipedia page means that he didn't really do too much in video game music after that, which is a shame. But
I had never thought about it before, but it is weird now realizing like the demarcation between like the town theme versus the battle theme.
Yeah.
And how different they are.
But it was kind of cool because like you get into a dungeon and you hear one of Sasai's like intrepid tracks like that Bone Dungeon theme or the freaking mountain or that heavy metal Death Palace or whatever. Mm-hmm. It really makes you feel like you're on an adventure. Even though you're just in a different location where there's monsters right there on the map, you still feel that tension and that danger that you're, going to fight a really goofy-looking octopus pretty soon.
And it will be goofy-looking.
It will be.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's just an example of, like, no matter how babyish, I suppose, the game is to some people or just how simple it is to others or, definitely on the cartoonish side, this is a game that once you're in it, you're kind of taking it seriously, and it's all because of that soundtrack. Yeah. And that's the thing that even non-music enjoyers, or non-music knowers, I suppose you could say, would point out first about Final Fantasy Mystic Quest. Yeah. By the way, the Battle 3 music is the final boss theme, and I've isolated that as being either my second or third favorite piece of music in the entire Final Fantasy series. And it's a top 10 or 20 in terms of like video game music overall for me. That is the best one, in my opinion. But yeah, that's Mystic Quest.
That soundtrack is just a banger. People can have different opinions about the game, and that's fine. Like, I enjoyed it more than Russ did, but I don't think either of us was over the moon about it. But that soundtrack is A+.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. The final form of the final boss, which is a spider with tentacles, get nightmares
that you can defeat by healing.
I know, yeah. It's still a spider with tentacles. I'm sorry.
That's not I think is the final form the tentacles, or is it just the spider?
No, the spider there's a regular spider,
and then the spider with
then
tentacles.
The tentacles come out. I guess you rip his legs off, and tentacles comes out. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that guy, man. But the whole time you're like headbanging and stuff, so it's okay.
Exactly. Yeah. With Phoebe.
Yeah. Oh, and one thing I always used to do is I would have a spare save in Fireburg so I could make the band play the Johnny B. Good song. Which, by the way, is a link to the next game, because it also has a Johnny B. Good song.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Fighting the New Age retro hippies.
Exactly. So, we're talking about Mother 1 now, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know Mother 1 as encyclopedically as I know Mother 2, but there are a lot of soundtrack similarities between the two. There are soundtracks or themes that carry over from one to the other, like Snowman, I believe, is in all three Mother games.
It's true. And Pollyanna in some way.
Yeah.
So
Pollyanna's great.
Yeah, so Mother 1, that is... So the core of that is that it's the collaboration between one of video game music history's biggest names, Hip Tanaka, which now he's known as Chip Tanaka because he is a chiptune artist. That's actually true.
Adorable.
And adorable. You should listen to his albums. They're really great. I like Django. It's a really, really good album. But yeah, Chip Tanaka, formerly Hip Tanaka, and Keiichi Suzuki, who is just kind of a band guy, really. I think Hip Tanaka more or less handled like a lot more of the programming side of it. Keiichi Suzuki came up with a lot of the really enduring, mellifluous, like just amazing tunes. Pollyanna. Like a lot of the boss themes, Being Friends, which is like the, I forget what area it is, but it's like the second town, essentially. And
The 8 Melodies?
The 8 Melodies, yep, those are Suzuki's. Hip Tanaka dealt more with like the weirder stuff, and and he of course also wrote Snowman. He wrote the Magicant theme. Different things like that, and like I said, he more or less handled the like operational side of things, and they would take that collaboration into Mother 2, aka Earthbound, and they brought in some more a couple of other musicians as well to kind of flesh out that soundtrack. But yeah, it basically all started in Mother. Yeah, man, I mean, there's what is not to say about the Mother 1 soundtrack. It's among the best on the NES. You have that opening with that one note, and then it just kind of builds an arpeggio around that, and then it just kind of starts descending into like, that whole storyline thing. It's just such a subtle, great beginning. And then
1 and 2, music plays a central theme to the game.
Exactly, yeah. So you had to have like that tune.
You have to find the melody of the planet.
Exactly. And then even between then, it's like you've got stuff like, one of the first things you hear is freaking heavy metal in 8-bit chiptune as your house is rattling and a lamp is on the loose. Terrorizing Your Sister. That's a really, really great kind of metal theme. It comes back, I think, once or twice. There's a couple of moments where the game actually does get pretty heavy in the music as that goes, but
it's unrelated to music, but it is a Mother-related story that happened recently. For Christmas, I got 2 of my nephews' little portable mini Mius, which is basically just like Game Boys, but you load ROMs on it. We don't support emulation here. But anyway, and they had, I put like everything on there. I even bought a bigger memory card so I could put extra PlayStation 1 games on there. Anyway, they got these things Christmas Day, and for some reason, the first game they both decide to play is Mother 1. They haven't heard of it. They don't know what it is. But they both are sitting here playing Mother 1 and just randomly asking me, like, hey, what do I do now? And I'm like, oh, man, I don't... Hold on. I don't know Mother 1 as well as...
You have to beat up more farmers.
Did you check the dog's collar for a key? Yeah, make sure you check the... Oh, you got beat by Wally? Yeah, Wally will do that.
You got to beat up Wally many times.
Yeah.
I always like to think it's the same Wally.
Yes.
That you're always...
just keeps coming back. Farmer.
Yeah. Poor Wally.
Right, yeah. Same thing with the New Age retro hippie. There can't be that many.
No.
It's got to be just the same guy. Speaking of new age retro hippie, when you leave your house, that's when I think the music really hits you, because Pollyanna, holy crap, why is that song not more popular than the Mario theme?
Yeah.
It's like
I agree.
it's one of those rare perfect compositions in my opinion.
And I love because you can get the official soundtrack and it has lyrics. They wrote lyrics to these songs.
Oh yeah, I was going to talk about that in a little while, but
Catherine Warwick.
Catherine Warwick, is the performer on some of those tracks. And yeah, it was so okay, we'll talk about the soundtrack. So the official Mother soundtrack is a CD that Keiichi Suzuki more or less, I think Hip Tanaka did some of the remixing on it, but it's more of a Suzuki project, which, by the way, he redid at a recent point where he's the performer on those songs. You can find that on Spotify right now. I don't know about when this comes out. But Keiichi Suzuki did Mother, it's like Mother Revisited or something like that. But anyways, yeah, so what he decided to do in this game that never was released in the U.S. until 2015, I think, with the Wii U Virtual Console release
As a
of Earthbound
weird
Beginnings.
surprise.
As a complete surprise, which I was pretty happy about. Yeah,
It was just funny because fans have been clamoring for Mother 3 for a decade. And so they were like, we've released Mother 1. And everybody went, what? But, thanks? But have you not heard us?
I feel like it would have been maybe more of a big deal if the folks at Lost Levels had not uncovered the actual prototype cart where that translation already existed.
Yeah.
So, that game's been on the internet forever.
It was just in a drawer somewhere, and they were like, oh,
Yeah.
let's go ahead and give this to everybody.
I actually, early on, was one of the people that bid on that cartridge.
Wow.
Yeah. I didn't bid enough. Not
No.
nearly.
No.
But anyway,
Catherine Warwick.
Catherine Warwick. So
they wrote English lyrics.
They
to
wrote, in this Japan-only musical release, they decided because the game is based in a U.S.-style country, they were going to write all of the lyrics in English and have them performed by, Japanese artists, but still in English with lyrics and everything. So, they got Catherine Warwick, they got...
and her voice is just haunting in that. It is ethereal.
Yeah, she's got a fantastic voice.
It doesn't quite sound human in a good way.
I don't know about that, but yeah, I could sign off on that. I think that the arrangements in the songs are brilliant. They got a voice choir to sing the Melodies of Life, which is the final track, which you can't listen to on Spotify, I think, because it's for some reason they have all of the rest of them are there, but the last track is grayed out. But since they remastered the disc about 4 years ago, I think, I actually do have a CD copy of it, and I listen to that thing all the time. But it features those songs with lyrics. Like I said, the second town theme, once you have somebody else in your party, where it's playing a different kind of song, that's called Being Friends, and that's another great song. They have some instrumental remixes, such as Snowman. They have the Magic Hand theme done that way. They have that one really somber theme when you go to meet the Queen in Magic Hand. That I don't know if that's Catherine Warwick or a different singer. I think it's a different singer, but that's a really good song as well. But it's a fantastic album. Oh, the what's it called? The Flying Man theme is really, really great too. I actually really, really dig that one. I can't remember the performer's name or nom de plume or whatever, but
there was a really nice
Philip
moment.
something?
Russ and I were at a convention. It was a PAX. I think it was probably PAX South. And it was at the end of the day, and we were just kind of walking along, getting ready to go back to our hotel, and some cover band somewhere started playing Pollyanna.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And we just stood there, and we got to enjoy what a great tune that is.
Yep.
Yeah.
curious to know what band that was.
God, 8-Bit Brigade, something like that?
Oh, okay. All right, no, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, I the music to Earthbound is written on my soul. I have like 8 albums of remixes and remakes. The theme song to this podcast comes off of one of the Rock Candy albums that Starman.net had. They had 5 Rock Candy albums, which was remixes and remakes done by fans. The song is called Chomping on File Select. I can't remember the artist because it is long gone, but whoever created that song, I have been illegally using it on our podcast for ages.
Well,
and we thank you for it.
Yeah.
Wow, okay. Well, now that we're all in jail,
Yes. Like that last episode of Seinfeld.
I will pay him every dollar of profit I've made off this podcast, but I don't think he could afford it because it is a negative total.
nice.
Yeah, I love, and Mother One has a lot of the same music and a lot of the same feel as Earthbound. So I do have the official Earthbound, or the official Mother One soundtrack. I've got it on vinyl. I've got it on CD. Yeah, it is good for the soul.
Oh yeah, it's ranked among my all-time favorite albums. Also, the CD has a nice little bonus of basically a medley of like most of the songs in the game, but done across like just one 12-minute long thing, which is pretty great. I do appreciate that. And yeah, like I said, it's also got the Johnny B. Good, like I was talking about in the Mystic Quest thing. The new age retro hippie music for some reason is just a classic, Chuck Berry style, just rock song that I always really liked. I always enjoy to hear that in a video game.
The Mother series is very well. The first 2 games, at least, are very much a love song to Americana.
Yeah, for sure, and of course Beatles, which is that's England speaking back to that kind of American,
I know
music.
the Beatles are a British band, but at a certain point we get to claim them as part of American heritage too, do we not? Like they had such a big influence over here.
I mean, sure. Why not?
We get to claim them as part of the culture a little bit.
We stole everything else, so why not?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, everything is.
I mean,
stolen.
Can you really steal from British people? Come on.
That's fair.
But yeah, I mean, that's really all there is to say about Mother. It's just a fantastic soundtrack, and I mean, you definitely got to listen to it, even if you don't really play the game, but also play the game.
Yeah, Mother One is
Please do.
good. The music is great. All right, that's all we've got for the musical roundup. Thank you so much, Chris, for all of that.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
Of course.
Oh, and I guess I should plug my band, Super High Tops.
By all means.
So my band, Super High Tops, which you can find on the YouTubes by searching Super High Tops. That's high like H-I, like hello. We are working on a Earthbound cover right now, so by the time you hear this episode, it may be available. So go check us out.
Rock and roll,
Very
man.
nice.
Yeah.
All right, we'll see you guys next time.